ich habe William Toel hier eingeladen, zu sprechen. Ein großes Dank und ein Willkommen natürlich ganz besonders an unseren Gastgeber, Michael Jacobi. Also wunderbar, und natürlich insbesondere unseren Special Guest aus Amerika, Professor William Toel. Und ich moderiere das hier soweit. Wir werden uns auch ergänzen mit Englisch, Deutsch, weil das Gespräch wird in Englisch stattfinden. Das ist eine Bitte von William Toel, aber es wird auch mit deutschen Momenten durchsetzt sein, und hier und da, wo es braucht, werden wir es eben auch auf Deutsch übersetzen. Wir haben genügend Wissen hier, dass wir das hier schaukeln, und Michael kann auch mit seinem Basisenglisch, keine Sorge, das ist alles handhabbar, also kein Stress, was das angeht. Also ich würde das Wort dann an unseren Special Guest, William Toel geben. Could you say the way, the focus, why you are coming to Germany and give such meetings? What is your interest in that? If you like.
Yes, well,
begin with
Bernd, you and Patrick and I have already had a remote conversation, so I'll try not to repeat myself, because we have had a conversation about these things. But my reason for being here is that Germany is about to be set free, not because of human effort, not because of demos or because of some new political movement, but because it is time for them to be set free. 75 years, the cycle of history is now over, or soon to be over, and so I say genug is genug, enough is enough. Systems in Germany today are not protecting German families, often are not even thinking about German families. And I don't even see much of a German policy coming out of Berlin. Berlin is very concerned with what's happening in New York City and in Washington, D.C., and in Paris and in London and in Moscow and in Beijing. And it seems that they are consumed with things that are draußen to Germany. But I don't see many people showing a deep concern for people who live in Germany. So we have a change coming, and it's somewhat of a dramatic change, and yet the vast majority of German people have been educated and have been raised all the way through college and have been put into a workplace in a system that has not been truthful to them, or mostly not been truthful. And so there's a great deal of confusion. Many Germans have a sense of angst about the future, about their leaders, about the press, about where can they turn to find truth. And yet, the vast majority of Germans seem to be addicted to a system where everything is taken care of for them. And that addiction is one of the reasons why I'm here. And, you know, I can do all of this from my little library in Illinois, and it's comfortable. I finish and I can go and have a cup of coffee and take a walk with my dog and my wife, and it's comfortable for me. But no one can test me in that way. I could be reading off of a teleprompter, and so none of those are my words. They're words that are beautiful words, but they're not my words. And I could have on makeup that makes me look younger and more vibrant and whatever. And because there's no engagement with all of our senses involved, I could actually pretend to be somebody that I'm not. And that would be very dangerous for German families. So I have no choice but to come here, and any German who wants to talk to me, who wants to meet me, who wants to shake my hand, and who wants to ask questions, I will try to give them a half hour of time. And because I think that within every German there's an inner gyroscope that tells them what is true and what is not true, and who is real and who is not real. Now, I think that inner gyroscope has been silenced in Germany because most Germans, when they speak with anyone, they have to look over their shoulder all the time to see who's listening, and they might misinterpret what I said, and maybe it's not politically correct, and what if they think I'm an extremist, or what if I use the wrong word, or what if my inflection is wrong. So that inner gyroscope that tells Germans what is real and what is not real has been mostly silenced. So that's part of the reason that Germans are uncertain about where can they find the truth. So I'm hoping that that inner gyroscope will become stronger and more accurate. And so my task is obviously impossible. It's a million times too big for me. And when I share with Germans that I actually do love them as Germans, not just the schmecky-meckies in Berlin, the elites, they don't really need me very much. Yeah. But when I tell them that, of course, they're shocked and they're uncomfortable, because it's very, very hard to love Germans.
I just want to point out that we have no preparation, we have no manuscript, there's no,
there's no teleprompter.
And we also have no notes.
We have no teleprompter. It's a really an open meeting. It's,
yes. So I'm trying to answer your question. Yeah. I am here because I love Germans, but my love for Germans is passionate, and it's very, very, very deep. It's beyond what maybe that you could understand.
It's not an intellectual.
No, it has no intellectual side to it whatsoever. Nor does it judge which Germans are valuable and which Germans maybe are not valuable.
Love goes to the whole people.
It's for 82 million people, and it is. You have to believe me when I tell you that it's very hard to love Germans. They don't love themselves, and they certainly don't love each other, and they are almost perpetually off balance. Or a little bit schiefgelaufen, and so it takes a great deal of effort and a great deal of patience. And this is my 31 Reise zu Deutschland, and it never gets any easier.
I would like to ask two questions. When you decided or when you prepared your homepage vision, for Germany, on the one hand, when you have this idea to do this by passion, as you say, and the other point, because it belongs together, how, from what point of view you take that the change will come soon?
Well, every one of the 31 trips that I have made to you, I have brought some little message. I get on the plane and I have in me a message. In every case, it is to protect you. If my sense is that my people, that's Germany, are in danger, or are being deceived, or are maybe on the wrong track, then I come. And doors open for me. In Berlin, I think I have probably been privately with 120 of your leaders, including military leaders, including political leaders and business leaders.
Even Steinmeier?
Even Steinmeier, even Steinbrück, even de Maizière, even von der Leyen. So most of your leaders and most of your ministers I have been with individually for a short period of time. I don't betray them, and they don't betray me. So, I do have an understanding of what they're trying to do and what they think is right, but I find that their attitude is not correct. They don't wake up in the morning asking the question, what do German families need today, or this week, or in the future? That is not a high priority. It is a priority, but maybe it's number 6 down the line. And they are concerned with control, and they are concerned with keeping a system together, so their minds only have so much energy. So that means that I have to come and present another perspective. And I believe that the perfect storm, what I call the perfect storm, is probably still a few months away. You know what it is. I don't have to repeat it. It's rising inflation because of too much debt. Not the debt that's on your budget that you read about, but it's promises and contingent liabilities that have been made in your name as Germans that you don't know anything about. And that's almost equal to the total budget. So inflation will be rising. Immigration, which was supposed to be all over in 2016, is actually increasing, but no one's talking to you about it. You have a fire in a camp, you have 20,000, you have the UN allocating, you have another 20,000, you have something else. Every month it's something, but no one's telling you about it. Who's coming? How many are coming? And the third thing is there's too much control in Germany. I see today Angela Merkel has reversed her course. But why did she demand a hard lockdown when other nations are loosening up? Worldwide, the corona is down 16%. 16 American states are wide open, having baseball games with 50,000 people in a stadium.
Without masks?
Without masks, without social distancing. People are having fun all over the world again. But in Germany, there's more and more control. And I'll tell you, all of you, just for a moment, something you may not know. And you say, "What? Wait a minute, William, you are an American. How can you know anything that we don't know?" Well, I do. I have a deep understanding of not only how you feel today, but I have a deep understanding of how you felt in previous generations. And the reason I do is because I was there.
All the time.
In previous generations as well. So I know what happened, I know the flow of history, how it happened, and I know how that impacts on you today in Germany. So I'll tell you something about Germans that you may not know. Germans in 1923, in 1933, in 1953, and today are basically peace-loving people. Germans love peace. They like to be left alone, they love families, they love good beer, they love good sausages. Germans have a wonderful sense of humor, which today has turned to cynicism. The humor has gotten a little dark here lately. But
Germany.
Yes, but Germans like to be left alone to have a good life, okay? And they don't demand a lot of things. They don't have to have a big car or fancy clothes to have a good life. So this is natural to Germanness. But in this third wave of the storm, Germans don't make good slaves. they really make very bad slaves. The Romans found that out. Many people have found that out. And so you can push Germans quite a bit. You can push Germans more than many other nationalities, okay? And you can push them and control them, and then you can push them again and control them. Yeah. But then there's a fine line with Germans, okay? And when you push them across that fine line, too much control, then they wake up. And when they wake up, you have to be very, very careful with them. Okay?
Could there be a headline, Germany first?
No, I don't care about that. No, that would be a mistaken headline, because I wouldn't.
I just asked.
I know. Yes, and I'm answering you. I wouldn't support it, okay? Because that's a political slogan, and I have nothing to do with politics. I recognize what in your system works and what doesn't work, but Angela Merkel's idea of reform is to take the garden gnomes and simply move them around in her backyard. It's the same garden gnomes, it's the same names, but she says, yes, I'm going to reform Germany. And she simply takes the garden gnomes and moves them from the left side of the garden to the right, or a little closer, and she says, now I have reformed. It's the same people.
It's a framing.
It's the same words. The system doesn't change one iota. So the third wave of this is too much control for Germans. Okay? And I can't believe that she even tried this Easter hard lockdown, because certainly it is across the fine line for most people. Most Germans are not anxious to go to church on Easter. Most Germans are not. But at the same time, they like the opportunity to go to church if they want to. And so she went across the fine line, and the reason she did is because her Fingerspitzengefühle has left her.
Yeah.
It left her about a year ago, maybe 11 months ago or about a year ago. And if you are sensitive and look back over this past period of time, you'll see that she's starting to make mistakes that she would not have made.
Also in 2015?
Yeah, well,
sure.
Yeah.
Migration?
Yes, but she's made numerous mistakes in the last few years. And in the last year, it doesn't seem like that she any longer has a sense of things.
Oh, because of this, I have a question. I think long before, at the beginning, she haven't got any sense for the Germans, for democracy.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
From the beginning. She is never interested to develop democracy in Germany.
Yes, but Michael, at least she was klug. She had Klugheit.
Yeah.
She was clever.
Yes.
You
yes.
can't underestimate her. She's a very clever politician.
Yeah.
And she has American consultants who are talking to her almost daily, who are very clever themselves. So, but her time is finished. And she's holding on because she's the most powerful woman in the world, which has nothing to do with Germany.
That's a narrative.
Nothing to do with Germany.
But on this side,
yes.
I just a bit disagree, because you say she's klug, as you mentioned, okay?
With help.
Clever.
With help, she's klug.
She's clever. Okay. Yeah. So, but I think it's also clever to roll back at this situation, because she know, okay, the third period of the lockdown is a bit too much. It's one step above the line.
Yes.
But she also is aware, and I think she's pretty aware of it, that she will not get re-elected again. So she take the responsibility for all the government decisions with that rollback in April, because she will left anyway. So she liked to introduce the other guys so that the same procedure could start again. My question is, because your vision is a great vision. Your vision says, okay, the truth for Germany. But I think more or less there's a small community right now in Germany. We are 100% aware of it, but the bigger there's not even a split. The 90% of the German, that's not just a bit foggy, they can't even see the vision.
Yeah, I agree.
And so my question is, what should be the next step after this misdecision and rollback from the government, that we can be sure, that we can aware that this will not happen again?
Yes, but please don't assume that when Angela Merkel says or acts like that she's finished. She's going to get her purse and go to the grocery store and Dussmann and buy CDs.
For sure
Because you don't want to assume that, okay? Because remember, she brought AKK forward and she said, here she is, my replacement, and now you have to love her, you have to like her.
And starting the game in the
Yes.
European Union for also, yeah?
Yes.
Life and life.
Yeah. So, but it became obvious that AKK could not break 15%. So now we have to put her on the side, on a sidetrack. So now we're going to push Armin Laschet forward and see how he's a balloon. So we're floating a balloon, and we say, how's this going to go?
Yeah.
Guess what? About 15%.
Need a good upstream source.
Nationwide. So now she's actually floating the idea inside to her friends in the chancellery of maybe that Baerbock will be the new chancellor, and she will put her weight behind Baerbock. Not Söder, but Baerbock. And that will allow Merkel to stay active, because Baerbock has nothing on her own other than Merkel's guidance behind. So there's also a 10% possibility that if none of these people are accepted by the broad, remember, she is absolutely obsessed with driving the AfD out of Germany. She doesn't want them reduced. She wants them gone, and gone entirely. Okay? And that's an obsession. It's not a political decision. Okay? So, I think there's a 10% possibility that she's posturing all along, and that when it comes to the second week of September, if none of her choices are going to win, obviously, and keep the right wing silent, she herself will make a sacrifice. She will sacrifice herself to remain another 5 years. That's a 10% possibility. And that may be in the back of her mind, because it would not be popular with her, and it would not be natural to her personality or to her advisors to say today, I want to run again. I want to be Angela Merkel on my posters, and I want to go and shake everyone's hand over and over as I've done. She's not going to do that. But don't be surprised if she remains as chancellor.
What's about the transatlantic influence, about Bertelsmann, the influences which have a strong connection to the Greens, the Green Party, because many young leadership programs from right to left, they have their...
Well, the Greens, as you well know, they're cool gemacht. I mean, they wear jeans with holes in their knees, and even when they're 50s, they're cool.
Frankfurter Schule.
Yeah, but they have no ability to govern a nation like Germany. They have no programs to govern a nation like Germany. But most importantly, they don't have the inner courage that it takes, because your decisions in the future are going to be much more difficult than your decisions in the past. In the past, when there was a decision to be made about giving money to Greece or having more immigrants or the Nord Stream 2, then you could say no, and then the next day you would say vielleicht, and then 2 days later you would say yeah, of course. And so those aren't decisions, all right? Those are compromises. But in the future, you're going to have to make actual decisions, which means the German, for the first time in 75 years, has to learn how to say no and mean no, and stay with no. on many different things. And people are going to yell at you, and they're going to accuse you, and they're going to want to drag you into the Vergangenheit over and over again, and somehow the new German has to be strong enough to say, I'm not bothered by this. The answer is no, because it is common sense is no. There's only so much resources in Germany. There's only so many taxes we can collect. And so consequently, we must first look out for the Deutsche Familien and the Deutsche Kinder and the Deutsche Education, and it's overwhelming what we have to do.
At the moment, we have many entrepreneurs. They organize around Munich, around Ulm. Here's a group. They have at the moment 2,500 entrepreneurs, the bosses like Michael is, and they say no to this politics. There is no chance to vote for this government anymore. And how you would point out the power of entrepreneurs?
Oh, well, when Germans are themselves, and when the Deutsche Herz, the Deutsche Herz comes open, it's a big heart. It's a huge heart. When the German heart comes open, then the Deutsche Seele, which is deeper than the German heart and is timeless, it is basically an Ewigkeit. When the Deutsche Seele comes open, there is amazing creativity. There is intelligence, there is creativity, there is a high energy, there is the ability to make things, but the Koreans can make things, and the Chinese can make things, and the Japanese can make things, even the Romanians can make things. But only the Deutsche Seele produces making things that have sustainability, things that have a momentum on their own, a Nachhaltigkeit, okay? Only the German can do that when they are Germans. But it's hard to find Germans in this country today.
Yes.
It's very hard to find.
At the moment, there is even a politician. He was a parliamentarian consultant. He finished his job and he started a movement because when he is inside, he can't speak freely. And so he put this question: Wie soll es weitergehen?
And who's on the front? A
young girl, a young child. That's and that's right. A movement with very strong, not political words in a way of PR.
But I think that the problem are not the politicians. The problem is big money, big tech, big pharma, mighty people in the world. They are not clearly in
But Michael, don't you understand that it is exactly the same people who are the problem today, who were the problem in 1903, in 1923, in 1933?
Yes.
It is exactly the same class of people.
Yes.
Their desires are exactly the same, and they believe in their desires to the point of actually becoming a secular religion. Their belief is very powerful, okay? So what they are doing, they don't think they're doing something wrong or they're doing something bad by keeping Germany under a tight control and keeping guilt and shame and everything else alive. It makes perfect sense to them. They know what is best. They are the wise people. They are the rich people. And because they're rich and because they own and because they control, then they are justified in what they are doing. And they believe in it entirely. So they're impossible to do away with. Because you can't find, they're not a nation. They are a matrix of people. Yeah. And they're all over the world. And they have similar minds. They have similar perspectives. But they believe they are doing a wonderful and good thing for the world.
It's also a question of interest. No. Kissinger says if you have no friends, it's only a question of interest.
Yes.
I mean, we have to break this system. These people,
yes.
We have to break
the thinking, this mentality.
Yes, yes, because they are, before the wars, before,
Yeah.
and thereafter there was
Yes.
on the top,
Yeah.
and they
Yes.
wrote the history books
Yeah.
Yes. They.
at Rome.
The influence in school books,
Yes,
Well,
yes.
But they,
re-education.
Yes.
That's holding.
But Bernd, it went much deeper than that.
Sure.
Okay. The plan that we, the Americans, the British, the
All the
French,
nations.
and 28 other nations who had actually signed on the dotted line in mid-1943 to destroy Germany militarily, also signed on to a program to destroy the German mentality, not simply to the end of the war. In mid-1943, most of the Allies could clearly see that they were going to win. Germany did not have the resources. They didn't have the manpower. They didn't have the fuel. So by mid-1943, most of the Allies could see that the war would be over by November of 1944. That was the common guess. That was as long as you could last, because they forgot you were Germans, okay? They simply forgot the fact that you weren't the same as them. So, but what we did at Bletchley Park was unfair, it was unjust, and it was cruel, because we brought together a few hundred of the best minds in the world, from Oxford, from Cambridge, from Harvard, from Princeton, from Yale, from the University of Chicago, from the London School of Economics. We brought together the best scientists, the best writers, the best marketing people, the best intelligence people. Most of them were civilians.
Could you say something to the Bletchley Park, because not everyone knows?
I understand. Most of your leaders in Berlin have never heard of Bletchley Park. Never.
Even up today.
Not even today. So at Bletchley Park, 1 hour and 10 minutes northwest of London, a beautiful country estate, okay, which was surrounded by the tightest security. A few hundred of the best brains in the world came together. And they were given unlimited amounts of money. These people have money. There's no problem with that. They were given unlimited amounts of money, and their job had nothing to do with military. It was already assumed that Germany was a defeated nation militarily. They had no military mission. Most all of them were civilians, okay? So they didn't even sense or feel like military. They were scientists and academics and brilliant people. They were given unlimited amounts of money, and they only had one goal. By the way, they had to sign documents, the Official Secrets Act, that was top secret, so that no one could possibly break the story of what they were doing. Now, the key thing is they had only one goal period, and that was to destroy the German mind, the German spirit, and Germanness, not only for a period of time, but forever.
Churchill also called it killing the guys of children.
It was killing, it was a permanent destruction of the Deutsche Geist.
Yeah.
So they had
yes.
reached a status of 90% right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
So
a long plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everything that you see in Germany today, and that you sense in Germany today, was put there by Bletchley Park. And it was a brilliant scheme. It was one of the most sophisticated Psyop schemes that has ever been done. I don't think anything since has ever matched it. So now it's May 8th. Now remember, they've been working since mid-1943, and they're living together. So they're in groups like we're sitting around tables, and the only goal they have.
Also, only for understanding the Psyop. The Psyop does not everyone know what is psychological warfare. Yeah, operation.
Yes.
Psyop.
Yes.
You have to
Yes.
understand it's a psychological war.
Yes, it's warfare without guns.
Even today,
yes,
these
but
methods.
yes, but it's much more powerful than guns and cannons and planes.
But right now we have two things. We have the Psyops and we are occupied, so they say, as Germans.
You're occupied in your mind and you're occupied in your land.
Absolutely. And
We have no power.
I'm always asking for answers. So what could be the answer? Is the answer really just to break out, to wake up for each of us? Or is there a vision needed with strategies and some kind of leadership?
Yes.
So what is the closest way? When you say, or you say at the beginning of this conversation that the awakening is near, for example, so it's we're
Yes,
close.
soon, yeah.
Within
Soon.
a few months, yes.
But what is needed to bring us upon this border?
It's so crazy because they are going against our children,
Yeah.
I know that.
and the parents do nothing. They play with the government with
But
Because
also,
they are
wrong
afraid of.
rules.
but also the elderly people,
I'm so
the
Was I
weak,
said
the weak
Deutsch?
people,
Satisfied.
Yes, but
Yes.
enttäuscht,
remember, they think,
disappointed.
disappointed. I'm so disappointed about our parents. I don't understand this fact. I don't understand it.
you have to give other Germans and your parents a great deal of empathy.
Yeah.
Remember, they were educated in a foreign system. All German schools
Yeah.
the curriculum is a foreign curriculum. When a young German from kindergarten on is taught about German history or German heroes or anything else relative to Germany, it always has a negative tinge to it.
Yeah.
Always. The greatest sin, Michael, in all of Germany today is not murder or rape or kidnapping. That's not the greatest sin in Germany today. The greatest sin in Germany today, because of Bletchley Park, is to like Germans. If you indicate that you like Germans, or you like German achievement, or you like German songs, or you like anything German, people will look at you with suspicion, as if you've done something wrong. That's what happened. That Bletchley Park is still working. Now, I'm going to share with you something today that your government does not want you to know, and your government is going to have to silence me before I say it too often. But I knew what happened at Bletchley Park. No one has broken the confidence. No one. Okay? And the other day I saw in Deutsche Welle, and this is proof of what I'm saying, I saw Deutsche Welle the other day, worldwide news system, said, if you ever hear about Bletchley Park, we, the Deutsche media, are telling you nothing happened there.
Sure.
There were cows and chickens, and it was a nice country estate. So if somebody brings this word up, we're telling you, forget it.
It's a nice narrative.
It doesn't exist. Okay, that's proof. See, because they can't keep it undercover any longer. And the moment you know the truth about Bletchley Park, you are now free. Mentally, you're free of Bletchley Park. But until you know the truth, you are under their influence, as if a dark cloud has been put over you. And it's not always raining, but it's always threatening to rain. And when you start feeling good about being a German, instantly you turn down and small and under. That's what Bletchley Park has done. And remember, in May 8th of 1945, when the war officially ended, Germany was flat on its face. German women have to give themselves up to an American soldier to get a stick of bread, okay? To get a stick of gum, to get a piece of chocolate, all right? German children were begging, all right? There was no toilets, there was no running water, and so
We have
most...
also the Rheinwiesenlager.
Yeah,
Very
and
shaming.
yes, that's right. But by the way, does anyone in this room know how many young Germans, usually about average age of 18 years old, were in the Rheinwesen? Does anybody know?
A lot. A lot.
There was over 3 million.
3
Oh,
million.
yeah, over 3 million.
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Children, the boys.
Yes, many of them were 15 years old because they were the last group to be done. Now, does anyone in this group, so we agree on 3 million, okay? How many starved to death?
1 million, 2 million.
800,000.
Yeah.
Why did they starve to death in an American, British-ran camp where there was massive amount of food? The Allied soldiers were having hot meals twice a day, and coffee and donuts.
Also, International Red Cross,
Okay,
they
now-
sent food
Right.
and all these
Yeah.
medicines.
The German was given one piece of bread for 7 German soldiers each day. Not enough to keep them alive. So now their mothers and fathers know where they are in the prison camp. Their wives know where they are. Their children know where they are in the prison camp. And they can see that they're starving to death. So Dwight Eisenhower signed an order, an official document, we still have the document, that if any German family member approached the fence, they were to be shot and killed.
Yeah.
That means wives. So if Michael is in this camp and you can see him from 500 meters away and he has no food and he's getting thinner and thinner and he's sickly, okay? And there's 3 million sitting with no place to go to the bathroom, okay? Deals. And so if you then take a piece of bread off of your table and try to give it to him, you will be instantly shot and killed.
And
you try to throw it over the fence,
And
you
they
will.
mislabeled them. They took this POV, the
Yes.
prisoner of war.
Yes.
They took this label that they are not prisoners of war.
No,
Yeah.
They disarmed.
They were
And
criminals.
so
Yeah.
they were criminals.
They were
Yeah.
criminals. They did not come under the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
They, even though they wore uniforms, they had no rights. They had no right to dignity. They had no right to health care. And so the International Red Cross has 800,000 of them starving to death. Why? The war was over.
They were
The
not
food
allowed,
the food was plentiful.
they were not allowed to get in.
Yeah. So that is not in Russia. That is in the Americans.
Yeah.
Okay.
And today it's a taboo. No
Yes.
one in Germany talks about
You cannot
when,
talk about it.
When you go to this place, they make Nazi-Scheuchen. They
Yes.
make PR show.
I'm
that
going
all
to-
the people they go there, they would be Nazis.
I'm going to read to you, because I may never be with you again, exactly what Bletchley Park accomplished, and they were proud to accomplish it. And if you want proof of how proud they were, there were more Victoria Crosses, which is the highest honor. It would be like the Pour le Mérite from World War I, or it would be like the Congressional Medal of Honor for the United States. More Victoria Crosses were given to the civilians at Bletchley Park than given to all the military leaders who fought the war. Because they had done a much more effective work. They didn't just win the war, they won the rest of eternity. Germans would never again compete with the Western world. Germans would never again fight against the Western world. Germans would always be off balance, schiefgelaufen, uncertain, unable to even define what it means to be a German, let alone to act like a German, okay? And to like anything German actually became a sin in Germany. And it's still here today. The Schuld, the Scham,
Yeah.
the Verwehrt, everything that they put in is as active today as it was when they put it in. Okay? And the matrix is worldwide, and to find even the names of the people in the matrix is very, very difficult. They don't want to be known.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, who do you fight against? Well, today, if you're a German, you fight against yourself, or you fight against other Germans. That's allowed. Das ist erlaubt. No problem there. Okay? But if you start talking about together about how do we break free, you now become an enemy of the state that you live in. Okay?
William, before you bring your insights, what you want to tell about the Speechley Park, I want to bring in, there's an action for today. They want that in Germany there will become a day for the unborn child, the abortion.
I didn't know.
Because, that is the 25th of March. They want that there should be a remembrance for the unborn child, because we have an industry to kill unborn children.
Yes.
This Parenthood Association, also the Pro Familia, it's not Pro Familia, it's against the German family, to kill the family, to kill the children.
Yes.
And so that we have a lack of nice Germans. It's also the program in total in Europe.
Yes.
And it belongs together.
Yes, but now we come up against another fine line, and that is the business of religion. Because it is the Catholic Church who has this mission. That's part of their mission. But most Germans are not devoted to the Catholic Church. They may be assigned to the Catholic Church to pay their tax to the Catholic Church, but most Germans don't feel that that this is their fight. So I'm talking about a much broader thing than simply abortion. I'm talking about destroying the minds and the energy and the spirit of German children unborn. They are being born, but they're not being born in the fullness of what they should be. They're being born into captivity of an occupied country. And their mentality is the same as the mentality that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation intact. And that's where we have to break. That's where we have to have a break. Okay? And so I am more than willing to give up my life for German children that are not yet born. Okay? My wife is more than willing. She worries about me every day. Okay? She's back in Illinois. But she also knows that my mission will probably end with being halted, right? Because what I say is not allowed to be said. I can only get away with it for some period of time.
I only brought it because we have also the Silicon Valley high giants with Bill Gates, who is very strong in these corona vaccines, and he's also in this Parenthood Association. The killing of life.
Yes.
That is the eugenics, and Bill Gates is one of the most promoted, like his father.
Yes,
and
I know.
Because of
but
that, it's very
I know,
strong.
I understand. But we all know the name of Bill Gates. And so they want us to focus upon Bill Gates and George Soros and this person. Okay? But you know what? When you hear a lot of noise, clapping over here on the left, you want to look right. Okay? So they want us focused upon these names so that other names will never be known, who are far more powerful than the names that we do know. Okay. So I'm going to read this onto the tape. It's very short. It will only take 1 minute. What did these 200 and some brilliant people with unlimited money, what did they accomplish by 1946? Number one, they destroyed the vitality and the virility of Germans, especially German men. German men, after this, were allowed to be pacifist and environmentalist, but they were not allowed to be men. So they destroyed the vitality and the virility.
Sie zerstörten die Vitalität und auch die Kraft.
Yes.
Ganz besonders eben des deutschen Mannes.
But it's more than simply the craft, because there was a virility to being German. And it's almost like when you have an animal and you castrate the animal for its own good, so that it loses its aggressiveness.
We also in Germany say he is castrated.
Yes.
He's an eunuch.
So what they did was they took away the vitality, which is the curiosity and the energy and the creativity, but they also castrated.
In English, you say they have no balls.
Well, you can say that.
Yeah,
I
did it, not you.
Number two, they succeeded in erasing your history. If you were born into Germany after 1945, you were not aware of any history before 1933, because we changed your history. What you were in love with in 1928, which was not a man, but a land. It was mountains and streams and rivers and fields and the smell of earth and wonderful German beer and sausages being cooked outside. Everything that Germans were in love with for a long period of time, that has been erased. And what you are told was, oh, well, this was bad, leading to this. This was bad, leading to that. And so,
Kaiser was,
yes,
was.
yes. And so everything was, so like when Steinmeier goes to talk about the 1871 anniversary, he does so as if it's a funeral. He doesn't do it as a joyous thing. He does it as if it's a funeral. Everything is sad. Everything is an embarrassment. We rewrote your history. And we had all the money and time in the world to rewrite it. And we rewrote your school curriculums. We destroyed over 5 million school books and replaced them.
And university programs.
And we replaced them from kindergarten all the way through college with books that would always make you feel off balance, always make you feel uncertain, that would never give you a clarity, a Klarheit. That's what's missing in Germany today, is a Klarheit. There's no clarity about anything. Bletchley Park did that to you. We also, Bletchley Park, diluted and confused your language. German is the most beautiful language in the world. It describes emotions, it describes human experiences. It is a beautiful language, far better than English. English is a business language, okay? So, but what we did is we removed 2,000 key words that allowed fullness and richness of communication between Germans, including words that would allow Germans to find love between each other. We removed over 2,000 from your dictionary. They didn't exist anymore. And what did we replace them with? We diluted your language by throwing in words that were meaningless. English words, these words, slang words that were absolutely meaningless. So now you couldn't communicate with each other anymore in a way that allowed you to have vitality and energy.
They even wipe out the German as language at university.
Yes.
Only in English.
We also built into a system to make you so that you really didn't like each other anymore. From region to region, from this to this, from this group.
Dialects.
You know, I do an interview with Bernd and someone calls me on the phone and says, oh, William, he's a terrible man. You shouldn't even be talking to him. And then I talk to someone else, say, William, do you realize he's a communist? Those are Germans who are judging and criticizing each other. We built that into your system. We built it in so you would always be divided. So if you were going to ever use energy towards anybody, it would be negative energy towards other Germans. You couldn't possibly love other Germans because we built a system that made you suspicious of other Germans, that made it easy for you to judge other Germans. So if you're going to have vitality, it will be down vitality, not up vitality. So we use you as co-complicit to carry out our plans. You yourself are co-complicit in keeping other Germans down. Okay? We also built into your system that there would never be a free media. Never would your Zeitungen, never would your radio, at that time there was no television, but never would your television or anything, your movies, ever be able to bring you clarity or truth. That was built into the Bletchley Park system. If you wanted to get a license to broadcast in Germany, you had to agree to the Bletchley Park system. You had to agree to adhere to it. Now, they didn't know what the system was because no one was allowed to know the full nature of the system. But they knew enough that if you wanted a license and you wanted to make money in media inside Germany, then you had to play along with this game, okay? You have no free media today in Germany.
No.
You have no one to tell you the truth in Germany.
Free speech.
Okay? So, we built in a sophisticated psyop system that was meant to leave you in confusion and doubt and weakness, not for a period of time, but forever. And the worst thing about the system, the worst thing about Bletchley Park, is that we purposely built in that there's no escape hatch for you. You never get free of this system. There's no escape hatch. And we made it so that it's an endless loop.
For eternity.
Okay? It's for eternity. And that is cruel.
Like Fischer said, the foreign minister, he said for 1,000 years.
Well, I don't see any way ever for you to get out except that I'm here. And I'm telling you what actually happened. Okay? But now you have truth, but what are you going to do with it? Okay? You have a system, a matrix that includes everything. They have the military, they have the police, they have the rules. Okay? Your job is your job is to be obedient, to keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, okay? And don't ask questions. And if you do that, you'll have a decent life. You'll be able to survive.
What is the strongest weapon?
Okay? You'll be able to survive. Now, you'll never be able to live full, free lives. But here's a secret that you have to know, and it makes me terribly sad to have to tell you. No one really gives a damn about you as Germans. No one really cares about you. If you think they do, you're misguided. Americans don't give one hoot. There is not one iota of energy anywhere in America to shed one drop of blood for Germany. Not even one drop of blood.
Many are looking, Putin would free us, or Trump would free us.
Putin is not going to free you. If you make a bargain with Putin, he will own you, not free you. You just go from one master to another master. And you say, oh, well, the French are our friends.
Another slavery.
The French aren't your friends, okay? Try walking around Paris and speaking German and walking like a German. You'll find out they're not your friends whatsoever.
But only so long we are needing. Also with Polish people.
Today, you are a cash cow for a lot of different people.
Yeah.
There is no one who has any interest in setting you free. Okay? And also, Germans, we know that Germans, when they are Germans, are good. You can't compete with Germans because they make things and they do things and they think things and they write poetry and they write music like Beethoven's Ninth. When Germans are free and their creativity is free, you can't compete with them. And also, they're very difficult to fight against because they don't quit. So consequently, there is no one today who has any interest in seeing you free.
I met a Frenchman. He was only complaining. He lives here in southwestern Germany. It's so ugly here in Germany, the politics and all. I said, do you want to know why it is in that way, that it is in this order, and it is a difference to France? And I just said, you want to know it? And I said, let Germany free. Never! Never!
No. Nobody's going to let Germany free. Not only that, you have to realize that they're a little bit afraid of you.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're also a little bit jealous of you. So why would they want you to be running free? Okay?
They made a threat when there was a reunification from Polish side and also from French side. When you unite together, then we will throw the atom bomb.
Well,
that's crazy, but that was really discussed.
But
that shows.
But Bernd, what we have to talk about today is what are you going to do practically from today? We didn't have a chance to talk about that before, but I am telling every single German who wants to talk to me, from now on, I want you to stop the negative talk. I want you to stop the negative talk about other Germans. I want you to stop judging other Germans. I want you to stop criticizing other Germans, because you're buying right into their game, okay? And I want you to stop spreading negative rumors. These people are leaking negative rumers.
Honeypots.
The Gerüchte, okay? They're leaking them, and then Germans repeat them one to another as if they're being paid to make everyone feel bad. So I tell Germans, okay, you have a perfect storm coming. That gives you the Gelegenheit to be free, gives you the opportunity to be free, but it doesn't make you free, okay?
The crisis is a chance.
That's right, only the chance. So you have to stop speaking negatively about anything, Germans or other Germans. You have to stop it now, period. Just cease it. You're draining away your energy, okay? And you're making the situation worse, and you're making the matrix stronger. Number two, you've got to get out of the Vergangenheit and into the Zukunft. Don't be looking backwards all the time. Angela Merkel and all the people in Berlin want to keep you talking about the past. Because if you're talking about the past, you're weak, you don't know the truth, okay? And you're always off balance. And then they put you on the defensive. You're on the back foot. You know, when a good German soccer forward is trying to score, he's moving forward. And he's moving forward with energy, and he has a plan, and he sees a goal. So they don't want you looking at the goal. They want you looking at the crowd or anywhere else. So you've got to stop this. When someone wants to have you drug into the past, they're taking you into a fallout. They're taking you into a trap. And Germans fall into this trap automatically. They don't even think about it. So from now on, don't fall into the trap. If someone says, oh, what do you think about the camps? Oh, what do you think about the Rhine Basin? What do you, aren't the Nazis rising back up again? What you need to say to them is, you're the one who's asking the question of me. You're the one who has the obsession. You're the one who needs a psychiatrist. Why are you talking about the past all the time? Why are you obsessed with Nazis? I don't think about it. I think about the future. That silences them. But no one does that. They sit there and they go back on their defensive, and that's where they stay. And that's the end of the discussion. So no more negativity, no more of the past. Speak positive things, speak about the future, and you've got to learn how to love yourself as a German and love other Germans as Germans. I said to this gentleman at the end of the table, for friends, we will do anything. We will do anything. You know that. If you have a friend,
to be a German, to be proud.
Yeah, that's right. So for friends, that we will do anything at all. Germans are your friends. Germans are your brothers and your sisters. They are your friends. Whether you like them or not is not relevant. Whether they act good or not so good is not relevant. They belong to you. You belong to them. So start treating them better. Okay?
It's a big family.
Yeah. Start treating them as if they are your friends and they are your family, and they will respond in the same. Okay? Germans don't want to be the way they are today. They're educated in a foreign way from birth all the way through their job. So they act in a way that is unconscious to them. So give them a break, okay? Lighten up on them a little bit, all right?
Sure.
So the opportunity for freedom is only a few months off. It's not man-made. It's not man-made. Storms aren't man-made. And storms can't really be controlled. And when you get 3 storms coming together over Germany at the same time, Angela Merkel and her crew, they don't have it. They don't have what it takes for 3.
Do you think that there comes a tsunami?
Well, let's just say when three storms come together, you have a variety of winds. You have colder winds, you have lower winds, you have winds that are turbulent, and it does create chaos. Maybe it's a tsunami, I don't know.
I mean it in a metaphor.
Yeah, okay. But what it does is it blows away the cobwebs. It blows away the past. So now you have an opportunity to be free. The question is, do you want to be free? The question is are you ready to be free?
Many are afraid of it.
Yes. There are today only about 4% of Germans have any degree of awakenedness. Only about 4%.
That would be a lot. 4% would be a lot.
Yes. So, that means you have 96% of Germans who are either still asleep or some percentage of that who don't want to wake up. I mean, they have security systems. They're not going to starve to death.
They're lucky in the cage.
Yes.
They're lucky.
Yeah. What was the old German phrase, like God in France? You know?
Yeah.
Okay? So most Germans feel like, look, I've got it okay. So
we are living in peace.
Yes.
There is no war here.
Yes, yes.
It's so
Yeah.
nice.
And it never dawns on them that there's no war here, having nothing to do with their efforts. It only has to do with the American shield. That's the only reason there's no war here. Okay? So it has nothing to do with Germany. I gave lectures at the Bundeswehr Universität at Hamburg and at Munich. You have a lot of wonderful people who I love just as much as I love any German in your military. But they're not trained to fight. They're not that good at fighting. So if Liechtenstein wanted to invade Germany tomorrow, I would bet money on Liechtenstein. Okay?
And the Polish...
Okay. So and I love these people. These are wonderful young German men and women in the military. But you haven't prepared them to fight, you haven't given the equipment to fight, and you haven't given them the spirit to fight.
Also GDR, or the DDR,
Yes.
they
So-
could smash BRD.
So that is why I am here. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to talk to you. But mostly I'm here so you can test me. Get all of your senses involved. Ask difficult questions. Ask personal questions, okay? And the weirdest thing is you have to understand, you don't have to lecture me about Germanness. I've been here a very long time. I've been with you long before 1945. Okay? I've lived through these things already.
Okay, William, I have a very personal question. I think about to rescue my family, to rescue my company, and I think about leaving this country. And I feel it's the
Yeah, it's fine.
it's the wrong way. I have to stay here and to keep fighting.
I'll put it right there. Thank you. Michael, if you're asking a question, don't run away. This is the time you were born for. You need to be here, okay? And you need to be fully what you are, okay? It's not going to be easy. There's going to be struggles, all right? For the first time, you have to have a foreign policy. Who are your friends? Who are your enemies? What choices do you make? You can't be friends with America and be friends with Beijing. So who do you choose? You can't be friends with Putin and be friends with Macron. Who do you choose? Okay? And when you start saying no to people, in essence, you say to the Greeks, they say we want another $30 billion, and you owe it to us. You owe it to us, so give it to us. It's going to be hard for you to say no and mean no. And then when they persist and they run headlines about Nazis and Gestapo and all this in Athens newspapers, knowing that you will give in and give them the money, then you have to say no again. And when they persist again, then you have to say things like this. Why don't you try going to work, Greece?
But that would also mean the connection with Israel. We are paying for Israel for eternity.
Yes.
Müller one wanted to stop it,
Yes.
and we know what.
Yes.
We have to look. We have to start to look for ourselves,
Yes.
Sure.
for our families, for our country.
Yes. And without the Deutsche Seele being open, you are somewhat blind. Okay? You can only see what you see with your eyes. And you're overly influenced by only one sense. Okay? Because the inner senses that make you German, that make you so good that others have to be uncomfortable with you, those remain hidden today. Like, Patrick, you asked me, what about your entrepreneurship? What about your thing? I said, if you are fully German, these things will emerge from you, and you will be ahead of the competition. Okay? That's all you need to do, is to be yourself. All right? So,
I will ever stay in my country. I will never take another place. I will be there where the German language is spoken. That's Germany. We are the heart of Europe, and nowhere else is my place.
yes, Bernd, but you are not the normalerweise Deutsch.
But they have to.
Okay.
But they have to know.
Okay?
Whatever will come, I will live here and I will die here.
Yes.
And we will also make, you will come also to us, to our place, that will come later.
Yes.
And there we want to do a
Yes.
cultural evening with a singing vet. And he lives his Silesian. He is Silesian and he speaks dialect and he makes music. And he loves his country and his...
Well, let me share with
Heimat.
let me share with you, Bernd, what happens. So that's a planned event, in essence. You know who's coming. But I'll show you what happens to me almost every day, spontaneously, okay? And that is, I had a meeting the other night, and there were about 15 people there, and they were educated people. Most of them had advanced degrees, and they were with their wives. So it was a very intelligent group of people, okay? Many of my groups,
academics.
many of my groups are not that way, but that's fine. I love them exactly the same. But at the end of the meeting, they had hundreds of questions, many, many, many questions. And at the end of the meeting, I sensed a man sitting behind me. I don't like people behind me. I sensed this man sitting behind me. And so he said, we were finished with the meeting. And it was a wonderful meeting, okay? People, I could tell by their eyes that their questions were answered. So it's time for us to go home. And I'm worn out. Now this man sitting behind me wants to say something. And I said, oh. Oh. So he begins speaking in a beautiful Bavarian accent. In fact, I even made, because you have to keep people laughing. You can't keep, I finally, I said, oh my goodness. I said, what a beautiful Bavarian accent behind me. But I thought he was criticizing me. He was saying, oh, this man doesn't know what he's talking about, this man. I thought he was doing it, but he wasn't. Okay? He was agreeing with me. And so I turned around when I realized what he was saying, and I gave him a fist bump, like this. And everyone captured it on camera. Everyone got this little fist bump. So then I turned back around, and I was going to say goodbye to everybody. Now listen to this, okay? Listen to this. This man sitting behind me stood up, and in the most beautiful tenor voice I have ever heard, began singing a beautiful German song. And here are all these educated Germans with their master's degrees, and they're into this and they're into that. And within 30 seconds, they all were singing with him. And instead of sitting like this in their chairs, which they had been all night, they sat upright. And they were singing at the top of their lungs. Okay? And it was a beautiful German lied, an actual German song. And he sang it so beautiful, he must have been an angel from somewhere else. But the key point was there wasn't one person in that room who wasn't deeply affected by a simple German song. Not one. Never had they felt that way before. Never. So things like this happen to me all the time. Not because they're planned, but because they simply happen. Right?
2014, I came back from Estonia, and there I promised in front of Brandenburger Tor, Brandenburger Gate, that we will sing us free. Because the Balkan Revolution, they started singing their songs, their folk songs, because it was forbidden under Soviet occupation. And they started in 3 years, all the Baltic countries came free. And when you hear these things, you don't understand the words, but you are, over several hours, you start crying.
Yes. So it's like this simple young German girl, who I still don't know her name, who wrote a song about me. She never met me. And she sent it to Illinois on an email. And she says, I have written this song for you. Okay. Well, I have no idea. I don't know today what her name is. But my wife and I were having a meal. We were eating a sandwich. And so I said, oh, well, let's listen to it. And of course I thought, why would any German girl write a song for me? She doesn't never. And so we clicked the deal, and she numbers her songs, and only on Saturday can she record a song because she's busy with her family. And so this number 14, we clicked it, and both my wife and I started crying uncontrollably. We had tears running down our face and running from our nose, and we could not finish our meal. To think that a simple German girl would write this song for me, and yet it reflected everything that I am. The fact of the children laughing, and people dancing, and people coming feeling free, and deals. And I think, how did she know to write this song?
We put it at the end from our... we put it at the end when we made this 18th January talk.
Yes.
Then we put it at the end.
But these are types of things. Yesterday a woman wrote a poem and read it and put it out on the internet about William, okay? And we've now had 3 different people write songs and are putting them out, okay? Some of them are professionally produced songs. So these are the types of things that are happening. You know, I'm too short, I'm too old, I don't speak German. There's no reason on earth that one German should sit for 5 minutes and listen to anything that I have to say. But something's going on here, Bernd. I don't know what it is.
Something great.
But it's really great. Something's going on, and it's a little bit scary. Okay.
It is.
And that is Germans' curiosity is coming back, and a little tiny bit of courage is coming back. Okay.
Are there more people thinking like you in America?
No.
Is there a community, a little community?
No, not a little community of any kind.
Or are you an exception?
I am, in my views, I am as un-American as you could possibly get. Okay. So.
But you're a patriot of U.S.
I am an American patriot. I volunteered when I was 18 years old. I didn't have to go into the military during Vietnam. I had polio. I was crippled. I was paralyzed on my left side. So I was permanently excused from the military. But I joined, okay? And I joined because it was important for me to join. We didn't know how Vietnam was going to end, just like your grandparents didn't know how World War II was going to end. They have no idea. A soldier is worried about water and food and digging a hole. That's what a soldier is worried about. They're not thinking about geopolitics and who's doing what. Soldiers are thinking about, how do I keep the guy next to me alive so that he will keep me alive? That's all a soldier's thinking about. It is a simple comradeship, almost a childlike comradeship. That's what soldiers think about. So I am an American patriot who happens to be deeply in love with Germans. End of story. Okay.
Because so many German people they hope for help from the U.S., from the president, and they think the president of the U.S. keeps an eye on them, but it's wrong.
Michael, no one in America is thinking about you right now.
Yeah.
No one would shed one drop of blood for you right now. It makes no difference whether it's Joe Biden or
They will not do our job.
Yes.
It's our job.
Look, it's your job. Why should we do your job?
Yes.
But also, how do you get strong? How do you build your strength? How do you build your muscles? How do you build your self-confidence? By sitting back and letting someone else come in and do your work for you?
Not really.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
There are some alternative media, they say, take your popcorn and enjoy the show. In that way, it will not happen.
Yeah.
Like the Muppet Show in...
It's laming us.
And by the way, being a sovereign nation is going to be hard work and it's going to be dangerous work.
Freedom you don't get as a present.
Yeah, it's going to be hard work, and I mean psychologically hard, emotionally hard, but it also is going to be physically dangerous for you at times, okay? Because there are still going to, even though you are sovereign, and Deutsche Frau and Deutsche Mann and Deutsche Kinder are sovereign, it doesn't mean that people are going to stop hating you. And it doesn't mean that people are going to stop trying to cause trouble with you, or to take a pointed stick and poke you to see if the old German will come out of you again, okay? You don't have to worry about it. There's no Germans that I've ever came across in the past 30 years, and I've had German students for a long time. There's no Germans I've came across who would hurt a fly, okay? So you don't have to worry about becoming aggressive again and doing this or doing that. Okay, right now you have to worry about just standing on your own 2 feet. So you have no aggressiveness in you at this point in time that would bother anybody, all right? So don't be worried about things that you don't need to worry about at this point in time. There is not one reason for guilt in Germany. There is no reason. There is no reason for shame in Germany. You are completely and totally innocent in Germany today. You are already free, okay? It's only your mentality. Bletchley Park is in your brain. It's in your mind. And when you start thinking good thoughts, Bletchley Park turns it inward and downward, so you start thinking bad thoughts. If I think good about Germany, something bad will happen. Okay?
It's like a pollution.
If I think about a beautiful German field and trees blossoming in the springtime, there will be bombs coming down. Okay, it's a sick, sick system. And it's cruel because it's a mind game.
Yeah.
We played a mind game with you. And now we're addicted to it, but you are addicted to it. You actually have become co-complicit in our plan. Because it's easy. You don't have to take responsibility. Why don't you come to Berlin with me here in a couple of weeks? And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all these Germans in suits, men and women, hard-working Germans in their offices, in their bureaus, the whole bit. Where are they at 3:30 in the afternoon? They're in the monkey bar, okay? They're having fun. They're having drinks because they are co-complicit in a system that allows them an easy, no responsibility life. Your wife wants you. Okay, good. Now, I have to finish because I am here for you, and you have to ask questions. All right, and you have to ask tough questions and good questions. And you have to, because I am your practice field right now. Okay? If you don't have courage, fine. I'll bring you courage. Okay? If you don't have truth, fine. I will bring you the truth in detail. Okay? But I am your practice field. And when Germans are themselves, the way you can tell it is they always ask intuitively, was steckt dahinter? Wie ist eigentlich gewesen ist? Was ist wirklich wahr? And they demand answers. Germans don't ask questions today.
No.
They're obedient.
We have to start.
You have no questions. So practice on me today, ein Übt, practice on me, ask difficult questions, and then start asking, respectfully for now, don't get ahead of the perfect storm. Don't do it. Don't go out there now and try to convince people of what we're talking about, because you're going to hit your head constantly against a brick wall, and the matrix will swallow you up. Wait for the storm. You've been patient for 75 years. Be patient for another few months. When the storm comes, Germans will not know what's happening. Was ist los? Was passiert? Then you can start answering questions. Now you can become more engaged, but don't get ahead of the storm. Okay?
In sports, you say ready, steady, go.
That's right. So if you get ahead of the storm, you're going to be verletzt. You're going to get yourself hurt. Wait for the storm. Be patient. Let it come. You will sense it before other people sense it. You know what it looks like. Okay? Then after that, you need to begin asking difficult questions and respectfully demanding answers. Because your leaders don't have any answers, but they count on the fact that you won't ask any questions. So practice here today on being German. What's behind all this? Where is it all going? Etc. What questions do you have?
Gunnar, do you have? Or?
Okay. And if you would rather ask me questions privately, I will set aside 10 minutes and you can ask me questions privately, so it's not on Bernd and Patrick's camera, okay?
If so, there will not be any question more, and you have said what you today.
I have said, did you see me reading off the teleprompter?
No, no.
I have said what was in my heart today. It may not be the same thing I say tomorrow.
At that point, I would say thank you.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bernd.
It was great.
Yeah,
I think
it was
touching for everyone who
Patrick.
is here.
It's good.
And just follow all these meetings which will follow in the next 2-3 weeks. And I think it's really exciting.
Very good.
Let's today prepare the tomorrow.
Yes. And that's
That's our job.
vorbereitet. Vorbereitet. Vorbereitet.
And so good luck for your journey.
Thank you.
And that you stand it and come also safe home again.
Yes. Thank you, Bernd. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very impressed for your words and your thinking, and it's for me a surprise, these open words and your thoughts. And now I'm not sure what I have to do, but I'm in a position to give my power in a good way.
Yes.
And in the last month, I have known some new people in my life, like these guys. It's very interesting, but we all we're not gebündelt. Bundled. We're not bundled with a weapon. We're not sure which way we will go.
In that direction.
We think about financial power, companies. Do you think we can win this fight without really fighting?
Yeah, well, violence isn't going to get you anywhere, nowhere, period. So when you are violent, then your enemy wins. So Angela Merkel and her whole crew they have a contingency plan for every single possibility that you could do. So when you move a little to this side, they surround you. They have a contingency plan to block anything that any citizen tries to do. Okay? But they don't, there's one thing that they have no answer for. So, you know, if you've ever seen the Superman comics, you know, the man with the big S on the front.
Yes.
So he is Superman, but kryptonite makes him weak. Okay? So the one thing that is their kryptonite that they have no answer for is love. They don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it looks like. So they have no plan if their Grundstein, the foundation that you have, is love, but not weak love. No. This is not holding hands and hugging and having mushy words. That's not what I'm talking about. But if at your core is a loving, big German heart, they can't win because they have no plan.
But I think it's hard for Germans to understand that or to feel that, because we love to manufacture something, and just to feel love, that could not be the answer, because we are looking for answers where we did not know the questions.
Oh,
so,
yes. Well, not only that, you're looking for scientific answers.
Yeah,
and they say to me,
yeah.
William, now what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and there has to be proofs. I have to see the proofs, and the proofs have to be concrete. And so, hold it. I'm the only proof you get. I'm it. Okay? So, I haven't been wrong yet. And remember, I was called the most dangerous man in Germany almost 30 years ago. Okay. So, I'm it. And you know what? If I'm totally wrong, if I'm all of a sudden become insane or Wahnsinn, if everything about me, nothing works whatsoever, what harm have I done to you? You spent an hour and a half talking to someone and having water and interchanging. You're no worse off than you were before I came here. But what if I'm right? I am right, or I wouldn't be here. Okay, so that means that you have got to change your entire way of thinking. Everything that has been drilled into you since you were a child is mostly false. It's a grosse Lüge in the deals, and it was done to you. You didn't do it to yourself. It was done to you when you were flat on the ground, totally vulnerable, and had no idea. You know, a little child, let's just say an 18-month-old child, when they look to daddy, they think daddy is God. And so whatever daddy says, they believe that it's God talking to them, because they're 18 months old, and they can't go to the bathroom without you, they can't have a bite of food without you, they can't be laid down for sleep without you, and they trust you absolutely. That was the condition of Germans in May of 1945. Okay?
And now they talk.
So it was easy to inculcate into them anything that you wanted them to believe.
They call Merkel mother. It's not mother.
Yeah.
Merkel is no mother. She is not a mother, and she has no feelings for us.
No. If Merkel is your mother, okay, you would not have survived past 1 year old.
Yes.
Okay? Because she has none of the tendencies of being a mother.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
There's also a word in Germany we say Wort, beim Wort nehmen, Wort halten. I take your proof. Yeah, I take it, really.
Okay. Well, so I don't have anything more to say.
Ich brauch nicht in die Welt hinaus, denn hier bin ich zu Haus. In See und Fluss, in Wald und Feld, in Haus und Hof, bei meinen Liebsten, hier im deutschen Lande. Hier im deutschen Lande, alles was man